Yeah, so Grave of the Fireflies. So I love this movie. Grave of the Fireflies is a Studio Ghibli production, and it is unlike any other Studio Ghibli production you'll see. For one thing, it's directed by Isao Takahata, who is very definitely not Hayao Miyazaki. I actually really love Isao Takahata's films. We'll have another one on the list for another year.
Is that Only Yesterday?
Yeah, Only Yesterday.
Good.
Grave of the Fireflies is a cartoon. That is pretty much the only thing it has in common with Miyazaki's films. The animation style is similar because it's in the same animation house, and they were partners for years, for decades, even though they kind of famously didn't always get along. This movie is rough. This movie is about two kids, and when I mean kids, when I say kids, I mean kids, like a young child and her teenage brother, who are starving to death in Japan during World War II.
They'd be like 13 and 6, maybe.
Very young. They are homeless and impoverished as the Imperial Army is losing during World War II. And they keep waiting. First, they have to deal with the death of their mother in a bombing raid, and then they deal with the fact that their father has probably been killed in a naval battle.
And they don't know. Like, there's no way to find out. Yeah.
Right. And the whole movie, they're just hoping that their father's going to come back for them, and things just get like darker and darker for them. And I will say this, it's an animated film. I've seen people say you should watch this with your kids. I think you could watch it with your teenage kids.
Yeah.
But if you have young kids, I would say definitely do not watch this with them. This movie is bleak, but it is also beautiful, and it is a real look at it's really humanizing. The Imperial Japanese Army was, a part of the Axis powers during World War II. But those were people too, and this is a story that's not just about Hiroshima or Nagasaki. It's about the general toll that the war took on the people of Japan and the children of Japan. And I don't know. I would say it's required viewing for anyone, really, if you care about victims of war. What do you think of it?
Agree 100% with all that. I don't know why I've never seen it. It's kind of one of those ones that I was, when people would ask me like, "Oh, what's a movie you haven't seen that you should have seen?" I wouldn't even say Grave of the Fireflies because I'd be ashamed to admit that I hadn't seen it. Because I found out, like, I've started watching Miyazaki movies, like when Princess Mononoke came out. That was the first one that kind of hit my radar. And, obviously Grave of the Fireflies was well established by that point. So I don't know why it slipped past me, but it didn't. It is really a beautiful movie between the brother and the sister. And there's a ton of war movies out there, and there's a ton of World War II movies out there, but there are very few war movies that ever actually show children or, have them as the main characters. I mean, there's other adult characters in the story, but they all come and go. And it's really just about those two kids. And that's just not something you frequently see in a majority of the war movies that come out, regardless of what country they come from.
I think maybe one of the reasons this slips by people, even people who are big Studio Ghibli fans, is it's not included in Studio Ghibli collections.
Right.
For example, Grave of the Fireflies is not on HBO Max. I had to watch this on Hulu. I couldn't find this on HBO.
Oh, really? I had owned it. I bought it on Vudu. It was like in a $5 sale one time. I was like, there will come a day where I watch this, and it came. So.
Got it. Well, so that's interesting. Yeah. When I watched this for my movie a day bit last year. Oh, no. You know what? I didn't watch it for that. I watched it because I wanted to watch every Studio Ghibli movie.
Oh, right. I wanted to join you in that, and then I just did.
Well, you kind of are now, because I'm going to make you watch it Only Yesterday also.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so, it doesn't appear. One, I think because it's not a Miyazaki movie, and I think that the Takahata movies aren't as well known. And there are plenty of Miyazaki movies that aren't as well known, too. He was so prolific. But Takahata movies just aren't as well known. Like, how many people know The Tale of Princess Kaguya? How many people know Only Yesterday? Or how many people even know, like, My Neighbors the Yamadas, which I actually don't like. But
yeah, I like The Tale of the Princess Kaguya or whatever. That was up for Best Animated Film, actually. I remember really liking that one.
Yeah, it's a cool one. I watched that the day after I got my COVID vaccine, so I was not feeling great. But this one, yeah, that's such a good point about children not being the focus of war movies. I mean, I guess you have, like, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, but apparently that I haven't seen it, and I've heard it's not very good.
Yeah, I've heard some bad things about that. And, of course, Schindler's List, has the famous scene with the girl and the
right. One scene.
They're a lot of times they're like auxiliary characters who like even in the old like the old Western type, or the old like Civil War type movies, like, okay, the dad's leaving to go off to war, like, all right, Sonny, you watch over the farm now. Okay, Pa.
Right.
And that's really all he does. So they're just not really the focus of that. And even when kids are the focus of a lot of movies, they're not, like, it's so bleak and so like just heartbreak when they can't get anyone to get, there's no food for them, they can't even eat. how is this 13-year-old supposed to take care of his 6-year-old sister? He doesn't have any experience doing that, and he's not getting any help. And it's just God, it's just devastating to watch, and it doesn't really end on a high note either. It just kind of like, hey, this all happened, and it's
right. Spoiler for a 30-year-old movie, but I guess also like trigger warning, like these children die. I don't know if you need to know that going in. I did look up the ending to this movie about halfway through because I just like needed to steel myself for it, and then it was worth it. It was like, even knowing that happens, it's very much worth it to watch this movie.
Very much the right ending for that story, and it seems weird, kind of a weird thing to say, like, oh yeah, I'm happy that the kids died at the end of the movie.
Yeah, we're not happy, but it just feels right.
It feels true to the story, and it feels like they were getting the feeling that they wanted to get from it.
It's not even a spoiler. The boy dies in the first scene of the movie, right? And then it circles back around. So it's funny, you're talking about the Westerns with kids, and I was thinking maybe the reason there aren't so many, not even just war movies about kids, but movies about kids, is because the ones that do feature kids are bad, or at least the kids are bad. Like, I think we have Shane on the list for you.
Okay.
That movie is largely starring a child who is not the best child actor. Or I was thinking about, now I can't even think of it. The only like even similar comp I can think of is Jojo Rabbit, and that movie's great.
Yeah, that movie's excellent. Yep.
Yeah, or I guess like Little Manhattan, but that's a happy movie.
Yeah,
it's a cutie. Anything else you want to say about Grave of the Fireflies?
I mean, that this is one that's its reputation is really deserved. You hear a lot about it in certain circles and amongst those Ghibli movies. I mean, the Miyazaki ones, like I said, are more famous, but this one is as good, if not, better than, really any of them. And it's, we've said it before, but I would say required essential viewing, preferably before you turn 40, like me. Don't wait that long. There's no reason to wait. I mean, it's a tough hang, but it's definitely one worth doing for sure.